भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जायामुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 52, Text 43. Yas Yangri Pankaja Rajah Snapanam Mahanto Vanchanti Umapatir Ivatmotamo Apyayai Yarhai Ambujaksha Nalabhye Bhavat Prasadam Janyam Ashun Vratakrishan Sata Janmabhi Syat Yashangri Pankaja Rajasnapanam Mahanto Vanchanti Umapatir Ivatmotamo Apayadyai Yarhai Ambujaksha Nalabhen Bhavat Prasadam Janyam Ashun Vritakrishan Sat Janmabhi Syat Yashyangri Pankaja Rajastapanam Mahanto Vachanti Umapatir Ivatmotamo Yarhai Mujaksha Salabhyena Bhavat Prasadam Janyam Ashun Vrita Krishan Sat Janma Bhaishyat Yashyangri Pankaja Rajastapanam Mahanto Vachanti Umapatir Ivatmotamo Apyatyai Yaryai Mujaksha Nalabhyena Bhavat Prasadam Janyam Ashun Vrita Kaksha Sata Janma Bhishyat Mataji's. Yasya, whose, Angri, of the feet, Pankaja, lotus, Rajaha, with the dust. Shri Radha Gopinath ki jai. Stapanam, bathing, Mahantaha, great souls, Vachanti, hanker after, Umapatihi, Lord Shiva, husband of Goddess Uma. Eva, just as, Atma, their own, Tamaha, of the ignorance, Apayati yai, to vanquish, Yarhi, when, Amujaksha, or lotus-eyed one, Na labhyena, I cannot obtain, Bhavat, your, Prasadam, mercy, Jayam, I should give up, Asun, my life heirs, Vrata, by austere penances, Karshan, weakened, Sata, hundreds, Janma bhi, after lifetimes, Syat, it may be. Translation. O lotus-eyed one, great souls like Lord Shiva hanker to bathe in the dust of your lotus feet and thereby destroy their ignorance. If I cannot obtain your mercy, I shall simply give up my vital force, which will have become weak from the severe penances I will perform. Then after hundreds of lifetimes of endeavor, I may obtain your mercy. Purport. The divine Rukmini's extraordinary dedication to Sri Krishna is possible only on the spiritual platform, not in the fragile world of mundane affection. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratvishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we are in the last of the 7 verses that Rukmini Devi wrote in the form of a letter to Lord Krishna, sent via that very able and competent Brahmana. And we can see in this verse and in the previous verses, these prayers, as explained by Shyamanand Prabhu in his class on last Sunday, that these are the very exact words that she wrote. Not to say that the other words are not as powerful, as he explained, that the acharyas, they take the essence and they have the right words, but these are the exact words that she used to address Krishna. So that makes it very, very special. Because it is not some ordinary people addressing some ordinary people. It is not an ordinary address. We know there was a great political and spiritual leader of India who went and he gave a very historic address. And they became very famous. So any address by a great person becomes very powerful based on the substance that it has. And here, Rukmini Devi, there is so much of substance in these verses. There's so much of meaning in these prayers. Every aspect of an ideal prayer is wonderfully covered in these 7 verses. There is profuse glorification of Krishna. A prayer, one of the anga of prayer is glorification. That you glorify the person you are praying to, and to the God, or in this case Krishna. And Rukmini Devi is so beautifully, so captivatingly glorifying Krishna in very, very choice words, that whose mind will not be which marriageable girl will not be attracted to you. You are so beautiful. And she beautifully describes, I don't want to repeat those verses, we already have read those verses. So she describes there's beautiful glorification of the Lord. And there's beautiful justification of why she's written this letter. There's a glorification, there's justification, that my shameless mind is attracted to you. She said, of course we all hope that we all become shameless like her, if that is what it means to be having those feelings that she is having. He said, my shameless mind is attracted to you, please come. And she has given a whole justification of what is going to happen. That I am going to be getting married to Shishupal. And that is just not what I want. I am attracted to you. My heart is given to you. So there is glorification, justification, and then submission. This is completely submitting herself to Lord Krishna in the form of these prayers. That I am completely a soul surrendered to you. And the overall quality that is surrounding this prayer is the feeling of desperation. There's a desperate need for her to make this prayer. We see in the mundane world how much a girl is desperate to marry, or for that matter a girl or a boy, desperate to marry someone he or she likes. And majority of the Bollywood movies are around this story. that there's somebody that the person likes, and the parents have decided something else, and then they do all sorts of romantic, lusty gymnastics to really achieve what they want. And that's the whole story. So you can see even how desperate a person is when he or she wants to get married. Because what is marriage? At least it is supposed to be a bond of a lifetime. Marriage is a bond of a lifetime. So it is so desperate for the person to really get the person he or she likes, he or she has an affinity for. And that gives rise to desperation when that desire is not getting achieved. So fights or desperation for marriage is one of the most desperate feelings, especially a girl. Not so much for a boy, because the nature, the way males are created, it is different, because they are not subservient, but the girls are subservient. For them to be subservient to the person that she likes is a desperate need. But this is what we are talking about, is all in the mundane world. But the purest feelings of this desperation that we are describing, that we see in a perverted way in the world around and in the movies around, is seen in the form of the desperate need that Mother Rukmini has to marry Krishna. So these are the most, as we have this brilliant example in our Shastras, that a tree on the bank of a river, the lowest part of a tree becomes the highest part, and so on. So the most lowest thing, the most obnoxious thing in this world is the unsatiable lust that people have for each other, and they go to any extent to achieve that lust. There's no love in this material world. There cannot be any love. It is lust. But that perverted so-called love, when the same symptoms are seen in the spiritual world, that is a perfection. And Rukmini Devi here, it is this last verse is the final. You can imagine that desperate situation that all her life she has meditated upon Krishna. She wants to marry Krishna. She is meant for Krishna. She is the goddess of fortune, meant for the Lord's pleasure. All her life she has been hearing about Krishna. Everything in her world was Krishnamai. She was Krishnamai. She was completely Krishna conscious. And she had this amazing desire to marry Krishna. And just in a week's time, the table turned. And the whole scenario changed. Things were happening. She was harboring the desire. Not that she had told Krishna. But suddenly, things changed. Rukmini suddenly decides, he influences his father, Bhishmaka. No, sorry. What's his name? Bhishmaka, yes. He inspires his father Bhishmaka and said, well, we should get her married to Shishupal for political reasons. Unfortunately, it is so sad to see, it's very much now, but much more prevalent in the previous, in the past in India, that marriages, girls were seen as objects of transactions. That if she gets married to this family, then we'll have a nice transaction, and by which we will become stronger. And it's so sad that girls were used as objects of transaction. And they were means of getting a transaction done. And even this Rukmini was saying that if I become close to this Shishupal, who is a powerful fellow, and then I'll achieve what I need to achieve as far as my desires for growth of kingdom is concerned. And I can use this girl as a transactional value for this transaction. So many of the ladies of Rajasthan were married by the kings of Mewar and others. They were used to they would marry them to Muslim kings. Nothing against the Muslims, nothing against the Rajasthanis. But I'm just saying that complete change of culture, and that also is okay, but they were used so that they could gather, they could make alliances, political alliances for their sense gratification. How mean and how sad this is. The heights of meanness in society. And that's what is happening right here. That you use somebody for a transaction without really understanding the feelings of the person. Sadly, many times as leaders we do the same. We need to achieve something as leaders. And when we use our subordinates as objects of transactional value, we can use them and achieve what we want. So it might be kings in the past, but it might be us in the present. We do that. So anyway, Rukmini is desperate. She was, and you can imagine, if we just analyze, she was 100% Krishna conscious. And by providence, by the arrangement, at least for a week, there was a situation in her life where she was going to get married to Shishupal of all the people in the world. Because who was Shishupal? He was absolutely diagonally opposite to Krishna. You see how providence is so powerful and how desperate situation Krishna arranges. Here you are wanting to be 100% Krishna conscious, want to think of Krishna, glorify Krishna, serve Krishna, be Krishnamai. And here you have a strong prospect, a strong not possibility, almost certainty. With all these powerful people, Rukmini was a powerful person, and the other four brothers, Bhishmaka, Jarasandha and Shishupal, all were involved, they all were marching towards, and there was a almost certainty that she was marrying Shishupal, who was a person who was 100% averse to anything to do with Krishna. He's, as explained by our acharyas, explained by Shamanand Prabhu, as we all know the story, Shishupal, he was born to be envious of Krishna. That was his main purpose of his life. I mean, the whole purpose is to blaspheme Krishna, is to put Krishna, I mean, that was his purpose. Jai Vijay, of course, after all. Shishupal and Dantavakra. Purpose was to, just blaspheme. If you see, in one sense, Shishupal didn't do anything, grossly wrong to Krishna. If you see Ravan, he kidnapped Sita and there was this big fight. And then Hiranyakashipu, what all things he did to Prahlad. But Shishupal, Vani, he used this Vani to completely do what Ravan did for Sita, to did what Hiranyakashipu did to Prahlad. Shishupal, just by his Vani, was doing that. How obnoxious he must be. I mean, it might be just so much obnoxious vibrations coming out of his existence. And how every glorification of Krishna was used by Shishupal to completely blaspheme him. Krishna is Makanchor. It's a Makanchor ki. Yeah, we say that, right, Krishna? And he says, "Arey, ye to chor hai." He was stealing thieves, he was stealing clothes. That's how he was blasphemed. What was glorification was seen as a blasphemy for him. Can you imagine? He converted every possible situation to glorify Krishna as blasphemy. And he has insatiable greed or lolium to do this. To the extent that, there was so much an upsurge of this blasphemy at the last time when he did it. He lost count. I mean, you can imagine, everybody loves life, right? We all love to live. And he knew that if I go beyond 100, I'm going to be killed. But the desire to blaspheme Krishna was so much upsurging that he forgot his attachment to living. Right? Sometimes somebody, we have this, our great worshipable, respectable army officers, people who fought in the war, because for them to protect the country is much more than living. He said, I'm ready to die hundreds of times for my country. Why? Because the love is much more than the loss of dying. There's nothing. But Shishupal, the passion of his to blaspheme Krishna was so much at the last moment that he forgot his attachment to live. And Rukmini, of course, that whole episode happened later, but Rukmini knew how obnoxious a person he was. And he said, she was going to be his life partner. Can you imagine the situation, what she was thinking at, kidhar fas jaungi main? And Radhanath Swami used the word, she was going to be stuck with him for the rest of his life. It's a nice word. Because there was no question of divorce at that time. Once you are stuck in marriage, you are stuck. So she was desperate. So in a desperate need, she was crying out. And in this verse, she's saying that if I cannot obtain your mercy, I shall simply give up my vital force, which will have become weak from severe penances. I will perform them hundreds of lifetimes of endeavor, and I can obtain your mercy. She said, I am ready to die hundreds and hundreds of times and perform intense austerities to achieve your mercy. So we must understand that this Shishupal-like Maya, which is present in this material world, the tendency is to take our consciousness, which is like Rukmini, and enjoy it for his own sense gratification. Shishupal wanted to enjoy the property of Krishna. Rukmini is the eternal consort of Krishna. And Shishupal wanted to marry and enjoy her. And that is the situation of the material world. We want to enjoy everything that belongs to Krishna. And we see all around us, the whole energy, the whole vibration is to bombard us with this desire of how you can enjoy separate from Krishna, or rather how you can enjoy Krishna's property. And that's the bombardment. Almost 100% of the vibration in the material world is all about enjoying separate from Krishna. So Rukmini is showing us, she knew very well the situation of the people in the material world, especially in Kali Yuga. Kaler dosha nidhe rajan. That Kali Yuga is going to be an ocean of faults. Every small aspect of our life is bombarding us to enjoy. How much do you use the toothpaste for? How much time in a day? For those who are doing very thorough job, it might be 5 minutes. For most of us, it might be 2 minutes. Right? But I was just studying some statistics that how much amount of money is spent to give people the most gratifying experience when they use a toothpaste. There is a particular company, I'm not allowed to quote the name, they're coming up with a very, very fancy toothpaste, and the research of that toothpaste to give a very gratifying effect, God knows what it's going to be, they are spending $720 million. I couldn't believe that figure, but I better believe because it's from an authentic source. 720 million into 60 is the amount of rupees that is costing. It's a homework for you all to multiply. Just to come with a research, it's not even the establishment of the machinery, it's just the research cost. To get the right lather, to get the right taste, to get the right perfume, so that when people brush their teeth, they feel, so nice feeling. Matter of 5 minutes. I mean, this is one example of the many things that are happening in this world. Recently somebody told me, I think many years back, I heard some IITian devotee talking, there is another research going on of how when they create a lather, when you take a bath, how that foam can remain for a longer time. Because foam is foam, right? That bubbles, it will burst. Maybe it takes few milliseconds to burst. But they're doing a detailed research on how they can be more foamy, and the more foam is more fun. Then it becomes foamy, and then there's millions of dollars spent on this. Why? Because the bombardment, and we were discussing this. It was quite a paradox. I heard this explanation, and that was the first time I had bought the cow dung powder. It just came in our temple, first time. And then I went to my to my house, and we took the powder, and I was trying to rub it. I said, where's the foam? I said, rub, to the extent I scratched my skin. Because I didn't know it doesn't give foam. It just does the job, but without the foam. And then I realized, see, there's such a paradox this world is. Here they are spending millions of dollars to get a fancy soap with a long-lasting foam. And here the real soap that will cleanse not only my body but my heart also, it doesn't give any foam, it is just something. I'm just an example. So this is the material world. In small things, what to talk about big things? People spending billions of dollars for their house, in which they may not even stay for more than few days in a year. We have one of the most costliest residents in the world, just close by in our own vicinity. That gentleman has spent billions of dollars, and he doesn't even stay half the time of the year in that house. What a paradox. Why? To have sense. The bombardment is that you need to have a huge house for your pleasure. Shishupal mentality. How I can enjoy everything that belongs to... Because everything belongs to Krishna. The land is belonging to Krishna. How can you buy land? You can buy something which you have created. Which is already owned by somebody. How can you buy? And that's what is land. Land is not created by anybody. It is owned by Krishna. Bhumi Devi is his consort. How can there be any real estate? It's real estate, right? Real estate is not a illusory estate. Real estate is only owned by a real person, that is Krishna. So the whole bombardment is how I can enjoy. And Rukmini Devi is knowing the situation. She knew that what it is required for a devotee to really remain sane in this material world. Because Prabhupada said a very significant statement. This world is not a place for a gentleman or a gentlewoman to live. We say, oh, very nice, very nice. What does it mean to be a gentleman? A gentleman means to be a person who is completely subservient to Krishna. That's a gentleman. And this world is not meant for that, because it is not designed for that. It's designed for living separate from the Lord. And the whole energy is focused on doing so. So we have to create a situation where we need to be desperately aware of the need, like Mother Rukmini has, the desperate need to be subservient to Krishna, lest she gets married to Shishupal. If we are minute to minute not surrendered to Krishna, we are in a Shishupal consciousness. We are going to be subservient to Shishupal. So what does it mean when we do our sadhana? We might do our chanting, we might do our kirtan, we might do our seva, we might do our counseling, we might do so many things. Book distribution is coming up. We all are going to be geared up to really do something which Srila Prabhupada is so very happy that we do it. But through all these activities, through all this action that we do, we need to have the awareness that there is no shelter other than Krishna. Namam bina kichu nahi kovaro chauda bhuvana maje. What a beautiful sentence by Bhaktivedanta Thakur. He glorifies in this beautiful song. What is that? Vibhavari Shesha, right? No? Udila Arunapura, yeah. Udila Arunapura bhage. Dujamani Gaura Amara Jage. And then in the end he says, Nama bina kichu nahi kovaro. With other than the holy name, there is nothing in the 14 worlds. There is no shelter. Because how can there be any shelter? Because the only shelter giver is Krishna. Krishna is Achyuta. The only person who is Achyuta is Krishna. Because who can give shelter? Somebody who is Achyuta, who is infallible. And the only person in this world who is infallible is Krishna. So when we do all our activities and we find some success or failure, in success or in failure, in our good chanting or bad chanting, in our bored kirtan or ecstatic kirtan, whatever we are doing, we need to be aware that there is no shelter other than Krishna. And that's the desperate need that Rukmini is showing here. She is desperate, and we are in an equally desperate situation, like Rukmini Devi. Because every moment we are going to be getting married. It's a choice that we all have. To get married to Krishna or to get married to Shishupal. Krishna is giving that choice every minute to us. And we have to show the desperate need to be married to Krishna. And Krishna comes only when there is desperation. Krishna doesn't come till we show that He is the only person that we need. Because Krishna has given us a choice. And he's not going to interfere in the choice. He feels sad that we don't select him as the only shelter. He feels sad. But what can he do? He has promised that I will not interfere in your choice. But when you do select him as a choice, he feels very happy. That, oh, wonderful, this devotee has selected me. Now, Krishna is not a tyrant that he imposes himself upon us. So the devotee should know that there is a desperate need to get the mercy of Krishna. This beautiful bhajan that Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written, Ekona bhujinu prabhu tomara charana. Ashoka bhayamrita. The whole bhajan is a beautiful bhajan. He writes that other than your feet, there is no shelter. Je pada paya shiva shivatva dhorila. It is by achieving your feet that Lord Shiva achieved his power of giving auspicious Shivatva. Goddess Rama, or goddess of fortune, is constantly meditating upon your lotus feet. Je pada Narada Muni shirate dhoriya. That lotus feet with Narada Muni is carrying on his head. Now, who are the personalities that we are talking about? Narada Muni, Lakshmi Devi, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva. Right here in Rukmini is quoting Lord Shiva. Are these ordinary personalities? We can say, oh, Lord Shiva. But who is Lord Shiva? Shambhu. He is the most worshipable Vaishnava in this whole creation. He is practically as powerful as God. Lakshmi Devi. Lord Brahma. How powerful is Lord Brahma? But all these people, they achieve their power because they are completely subservient, focusing on the lotus feet of the Lord. So when we sing these bhajans, there is a deep meaning why Bhaktivinoda Thakur is writing this bhajan. And from the deepest desperation from his heart, he's writing this bhajan. They said, how desperate it is for me to take shelter of your lotus feet. So that desperate need that we have is time and again shown by our acharyas. And I was thinking that yes, we will get the mercy. We all are looking for mercy. And we will get the mercy. Whatever little we do, Krishna is there to give the mercy. Right? We just do a small, we put 1 rupee in this hundi, Krishna will give you the mercy worth 1 rupee. As you give 1 rupee, I'll give you mercy. But I was hearing a class of His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, and he was mentioning a very brilliant, important point where all of us to understand that yes, we will get mercy, no doubt, whatever we do in this, Krishna conscious activities. But fortunately or unfortunately, we are in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Our acharyas are not settling for anything but 100% unalloyed love for Krishna. Nothing else. 100% surrender to Krishna. That's what is the theme of our Sampradaya. Whether it is Raghunath Das Goswami, Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoibe Akuti, Tabe Aba Bhujaba Se Yugala Piriti. We sing this beautiful bhajan. What does it mean? Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoibe Akuti. When will I follow the footsteps of Rupa Raghunath? And what was the footsteps what were the activities that they did? Unalloyed, 100% sold out slavery for Krishna. That was Rupa Raghunath. Give up amazing amount of wealth. Huge amount of wealth, both of them gave up. Taktva turnam ashesha mandalapati shrenim sada tuchvat bhutva dina ganesha karonaya kopina kanthashrito. Gave up this huge wealth. I mean, what was the wealth of Raghunath Das Goswami? Gave it all up to wander with loincloth in Vrindavan, not even having a place to stay under different trees every day. So this is what our acharyas have set as standards for our sampradaya. And as I said, fortunately for all of us, and maybe people who aren't really, but unfortunately for many of us also, that we are in this sampradaya which is not settling down for anything but the highest surrender to Krishna and 100% mercy of Krishna. We don't want little mercy, we want full mercy of Krishna. And that's Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu He set this up, and the Goswami set it up. Our Acharya is Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jagannath Das Babaji, Vrindavan Das, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, Bhakti Siddhanta, Bhakti Vinod, Srila Prabhupada. 100% surrender. So we are here for that 100% surrender. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu selected of all the scriptures Srimad Bhagavatam as the supreme scripture. Why? Why did our acharyas select Bhagavatam as a supreme scripture that we are reading every day right now? Because it kicks out all the Kaitavya Dharma and establishes pure, unalloyed, unmotivated, uninterrupted, loving, devotional service to Krishna and Krishna alone and nothing else. What a nice adjectives we are using. But we use it so often that we have become immune to them. Right? Unalloyed, unconditional, unmotivated. What these words? I use these words in the seminar when I give outside the corporate world. Sometimes it comes because we are used to this. And I say, sir, wait. What did you use these words? They note it down. And here, kids know these words in our temples, right? Unalloyed, unmotivated, uninterrupted. These are all very fancy adjectives used. Unalloyed. Prabhupada used this fantastic adjective, unalloyed. Unmotivated. There is no question of outside world hearing this word, unmotivated, because everything is motivated. Everything that they do. Even the Sattva-guni worker is motivated by his Sattva-guni desires. Everything is motivated. But Bhagavatam has kicked all this Kaitavya Dharma and established pure love of Krishna as the ideal that we are looking for. And this verse, more than any other verses, or rather, like many other verses, shows the mood of Srimad Bhagavatam. The mood which attracted Shukdev Goswami to come out of the womb of his mother. Vedvyas has narrated this mood of Bhagavatam that attracted Shukdev Goswami, who was Brahman, realized he didn't have any desires. But this mood of the desperate need to take shelter of Krishna and Krishna alone. Vedvyas has told to Narad Muni that I've written everything, but I'm still not feeling satisfied. Why? Can you imagine what hard work he has done? To write one book, we all know what it takes to write a book. We have many writers now. So wonderful that writers are getting inspired. But how much effort it takes to write even one article. Somebody tells me to write an article, it said this is the last thing I want to write. Because it's so difficult to sit and write. Easy to speak, but to write. Vedvyas has written not one book, but hundreds and hundreds of books. And when an author writes something, he's satisfied. Oh, I've conveyed my feelings in my book. But after writing all these things, he said, I'm completely unsatisfied, dejected. Because he didn't write what is required to be written. And Narad Muni said that you write on pure devotional service. And then Vedvyas wrote Bhagavatam. That is the scripture, please. Let us all remember the background of the scripture. Lest we will take it very, very lightly. The background is, this scripture is written as an answer to the desperate need of whose? Of Vedvyas, who is the literally incarnation of Krishna. And this verse of Rukmini Devi is showing, is a classical showcase of the mood of Bhagavatam. The desperate need to take shelter of Krishna. And why do we not take shelter of Krishna? One is ego. But most